Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this new panel about cloud technology and its impact for Pay TV D2C operators. My name is Thibaut Giry. I am a market analyst at Dataxis, and I will host today's event. First of all, if you have any questions during this presentation, feel free to use the Q&A button, and we will answer some of them after this discussion. The slides and the recording will be published on our website, and you will be able to download them. We are proud to host today three major actors of the European TV and cloud industry in Europe: Jarl Ransen from Altibox, Ole Andrup from WOW, and Geert Bjondal from Verimatrix, who sponsor today's event. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello.
But before letting them introduce themselves, a few words about us. We are a business intelligence company with offices in Europe, Africa, and Latin America. We are leader in TV, OTT, and telecom with a strong focus across Europe, North and Latin America, and emerging markets. We regularly organize events in Europe, Africa, and America, which are, as you can imagine, only digital this year due to the COVID context. We also have a newsletter, Next TV News, dedicated to Latin American and African markets. We also recently launched a new data on demand platform with reports on TV, OTT, and telecom markets by country. And we are currently running a free credits offer for new registrations. Let's now have a look quickly at the pay TV environment in Denmark and Norway. As you can see, the number of pay TV subscriptions has slightly increased over the last 5 years, but those figures don't reflect the growth dynamics within each market, as we will see later on. Regarding the competitive landscape, the market has faced major consolidations recently. For instance, the satellite pay TV operations of NENT and Telenor, branded as Viasat Consumer and Canal Digital, have merged into a new joint venture named Allente, while several utilities and pay TV companies in Denmark gathered in April to form Norless. Our speakers will have time to discuss the implications of these changes in their businesses later on. Regarding the IPTV market, it has remained quite stable in Denmark, but it has significantly increased in Norway, mainly driven by Altibox and Telenor, as you can see on the graph on the right. Both Altibox and WOW are major IPTV actors in their domestic countries, and one of today's topics will be their IPTV strategy for the next years. But the massive change came from the OTT landscape. As you can see, the OTT subscription have dramatically increased over the last years, representing now a third of the total pay TV subscription in Denmark, for instance. So now that we have a bit more context about the pay TV landscape, it is time to start our panel discussion. Thank you, Jarl, Ole, and Geert for being with us today. Could you introduce yourselves and give us a general overview of your different services, starting with Jarl, for instance?
Yes, hello. My name is Jarl Johnsen. I'm head of TV technology in Altibox. There I have responsibility for all the technical solutions that we use to produce our TV services. That's including everything from architecture to development, operations, maintenance, and also the operations of all services. We do like the normal content acquisition, had then services to prepare content, apply cast DRM to both at the head and side and on client that we use. I'm been working in this industry like sort of forever almost. First starting with development of equipment and solution for TV, and actually joined the Lyse group, which Altibox is part of back in the early 2000s, when this was a greenfield, starting to attack the whole industry in the pay TV industry and the broadband industry in Norway. And we have been sort of developing an IPTV platform from when it was bleeding edge till now it's becoming, you know, more or less like a legacy seen from our side, as this has gone on for the past almost 20 years. Lisa started out as a very sort of small initiative, targeting like less than 30,000 subscribers in like 15 years time. That went very wrong. We ended up having now 650,000 subscribers in these years, and have greatly changed our business model over those years that we have been in service. We are doing that in a little bit an untraditional fashion, where we, as Altibox Group, is manufacturing and producing the TV services and all the network services and the voice services that we have as part of a traditional triple play service. We do that as a not like a white label, but more like the Altibox service provided through what we call a partnering model. What we do is that we sign up with partners that will be responsible then for the customer acquisition, the customer service, and in their local market, and also the local financing of rolling out the fiber infrastructure in their local market, where we do all the service manufacturing and operations. So this has proven to be a very good model to roll out greenfield in Norway, and had made us able to bring like 650,000 FTTH customers to our total aggregated service. We also have a small affiliate in Denmark, so we're not just entirely in Norway, we're also a little bit in Denmark, and then so in those senses our competitor of WOW, but by far the Norwegian operations, of course, the biggest one.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a little bit about Altibox. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Jarle. Ole, could you do the same and introduce a bit your responsibilities and the scope of WOW in Denmark?
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ole Ørndrup, and I'm the CTO of WOW. I have been with WOW for more than 6 years now, and sometimes it seems like it has been forever, so to say, looking at the development in the market, in the technology, the customer expectations, and the services that we're offering. It sometimes seems like it's decades ago I joined WOW, because things are developing very fast as it is now, and I think that will continue in the future. My responsibility is the technology platform and all the services on top of the platform. The business model in WOW is more or less similar to the one in Altibox. We are providing the content to our owners' fiber networks, and we are a pure fiber to the home company. We have no plans of using other technologies, because we believe that fiber is by far the best technology for providing high quality services. We have been awarded Denmark's best internet 9 years in a row, recently in the beginning of 2020, and we are very proud of that the customers are considering us as the best in the market. Also there are quite many changes in Denmark right now. The fiber networks are being opened up. WOW was originally born to supply our owners with content, but the last 2 to 3 years, our owners, shareholders, has started opening up their networks, and that means that we are not the only one anymore in these networks. So the coming years we will see a lot of competition. It has already started, and we see a number of new service providers entering the Danish market. Right now, WOW is the biggest service provider on fiber broadband networks in Denmark, but I think some others will challenge that position quite soon. We are doing the content aggregation like Altibox, and our shareholders, and also some partners that are not shareholders in WOW, are doing the selling, the installation, the customer care, taking care of their local region of Denmark. All of our owners are coming out of the Danish utility, the regional utility companies in Denmark. And if we look at the near future, it'll be mainly about these open networks, and also to maintain our position in the Danish market. So our plans include going out to more networks, to partnering up with more networks in the future. And as Arle mentioned, Altibox is one of the newcomers. You can't say newcomers because they have been in a small regional area of Denmark for quite a number of years, but I believe their plans is to roll out their services in greater parts of Denmark also. I think that's the beginning of the presentation. There are some changes going on also in the ownership of WOW, and I think that might be known to at least some of you, because the consolidation in the utility market are ongoing in Denmark, and that also affects the ownership of WOW. So right now there are some discussions about the future ownership of WOW, and how that will end. It's unknown at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Ole. So, Geir, I let you the opportunity to introduce yourself and the activities of Verimatrix.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'll spend 1 minute on myself. But first, I mean, I'm Geir Bjørndal. I'm just now hiding up in a mountain 20 minutes up from Lillehammer in Norway, and seeing the winters coming around here. So it's actually quite great. So I am head of sales EMEA for Verimatrix, and I have been in the security business for over and a half, I think. I started out when everything was analog, and we were using analog signals and analog encoders from Tandberg at the time, which I guess Jarl was involved in making at the time. And then now until these days, where everything is happening in the cloud and things are much more agile. So it's been interesting. And so I've been in security for broadcast, or security for TV for almost 30 years now. And I was thinking, when I'm going to make this introduction, how do you defend that? Because security is kind of more a boring area in a way, but I have to say that it hasn't been boring at all, because it is developing so fast, and there are so many changes, at least these days, that makes it very interesting and very challenging. So the last 10 years has actually been the most exciting and the most challenging. A little bit about Verimatrix. I mean, Verimatrix has been a security provider for about 20 years. So I've been there for 10 years, and we have a lot of customers around the world. I'm lucky who has these two gentlemen that are joining on the panel as customers. And I hope they answer this, look at this as a kind of a successful relationship. At least we do. We started out with IPTV, and of course, as everything is developing, we are now providing services, a lot of security services. I think the major change that has happened over the last year, except for pure security development, is that we have been moving from offering security as technology to offering security as a service. That is a little bit what we're going to talk about a little bit more today. And I think that is a very interesting movement, which gives us an opportunity to stay very close to what is happening in the market and to be pretty agile when it comes to roll out new security services. And also to find business models that are more fit for today's market, maybe, than what we see many years ago. In addition to just security for broadcast services, Verimatrix is currently adding now security components that are used for the infrastructure, because as time goes by, we see that the threats are developing and the new threats are coming up that need new measures. And we are kind of working to get this included in the service platform, so we can defend our customer in the best possible way against all threats towards their business by being the security partner.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's move on the cloud solutions for pay TV operators. I'm gonna start with the first question for you, Geir. You already started to give us some answer. So from your cloud supplier perspective, how have changed the demand over the last years and the markets? So you said, for instance, that your business model changed from product-centric to a more software as a service company. What are the implications of the change in models regarding the market, the cloud solutions you offer, and the actors you are partnering with?
Oh, there are many changes, but of course, the major change in the business model for our customer is that we are moving from a CapEx model to a more OpEx-based model. And for us as a company, that is nice because we have recurring revenue, and for our customer, it's nice because they have a really predictable cost, which scales with their operations. And I think that's the commercial side of it. On the other side, I mean, the security business and maybe the TV business as such has been very traditional, at least on the broadcast side, where we are seeing that set-top boxes has been used, where we have the protected environment, which has been relatively easy to protect compared to what we see today, when premium TV is supposed to be consumed on all platforms, and we have to protect all devices, also consumer electronics devices, which doesn't have a secured environment, but where we have to make secure applications or secure environment for consumption of TV on all kind of devices. Of course, this is a challenge, but it's an interesting challenge, and we see that actually it has accelerated during this period of time when we all are staying home, at least most of us are staying home. And premium content should be delivered to all devices. That has accelerated the demand for new security service. And by going to the cloud, we have a much more agile situation when it comes to offering security services, because we don't have to implement something in the box. Okay, that happens still in some aspects on hardware, on basically for unconnected devices. But we can offer new security measures as services that we just need to implement centrally in the cloud, and then we can roll it out to our customers. And I think that we will see that gives us a much more, what should I say, elastic way or dynamic way to address the market in the future. Because what we see is that if a new regulation comes out, we can take it, we can implement it, and we can roll it out widely to all our customers, maybe within a very short time. So there is responsiveness to new requirements, and also to potential piracy is something that we can address in a completely different way now when we are in the cloud than what we actually have been able to do until now when we have everything on-prem. And of course, by being in the cloud, we do not need to send people to every head end in the world, which also has been an advantage now, at least the last 6-7 months, because it's much easier to do things in an online environment from on a central location from your computer, wherever you are actually. So there are major changes going on for the security business, and what I said, I mean, that's a little bit what makes it a bit cool to work with something that nobody should see. because has quite a big implication, and it is quite interesting. And and as I said, the last 5 years, the changes has come so fast that it makes it really needed to stay awake in order to be able to offer what the market requires or asks for.
Okay, thank you. We're going to see later what are the different functionalities and implication of that migration to cloud. First, I have a question for Ole and for Jarl. From your B2C perspective, how the need for cloud TV evolved in your business? What were, for instance, the issues you were facing in terms of content security, content delivery, user experience, or analytics? And how did you tackle those issues?
Yeah, for a while, the need came out of the complexity, so to say. Just a few years ago, it was all about Flow TV and multicast. But the last years, it has developed into multi-screen and a lot of huge variety of devices. Yeah, you can say in the Flow TV multicast environment, it's quite protected, the content. But in an OTT-like environment where we use the open internet for connections, it's a completely different story. So the demands for security solutions and for content solutions and also for monitoring the user experience, or to have an idea about the user experience, has increased a lot. It's as I mentioned in the beginning, I joined WOW for 6 years ago. At that time, and that's not long ago, most of the challenges, the incidents, the customer queries, whatever, was about multicast and TV boxes, set-top boxes. But this has changed dramatically the last years. So it's the demand for having a complex, increasing complexity in the environment that demands that we need to simplify something and to make it more scalable.
Yes. On the Altibox side, I would say that cloud has actually always been an essential part of our service. Being like we've never been a normal broadcaster in the sense of providing a cable network or DTH network or so. So we've always been able to pick the best from broadcast and then sort of combine it with what's great with having a fully connected platform against the cloud. Still, we utilize the scaling capability of broadcast, and Jon, you mentioned the multicasting. That was, of course, a central part of what we also was delivering earlier as being able to scale out good in an IP network. And what we see is basically that more and more of that services are sort of going away because people becomes more and more on demand like, and is expecting things to be instantly available and on demand. So for instance, when the launch of that we have a full PVR service which is completely in the cloud, having no set-top boxes with PVR discs anymore is actually bringing on a need for a great cloud service to be able to host all of that. So that has driven forward the extension of the cloud. When it comes to the complexity around the security aspects of it, we heavily rely on companies like Verimatrix that can sort of be warranting the service against our content owners, because the main, as you mentioned, Geir, security is quite boring. Yes, and it's a pain in the ass for us that we have to deal with this. I envy the companies like NRK that can just send everything in the clear because of, but having a good relationship and good service from a solid actor on security like Verimatrix is key in that aspects, and working with companies like Verimatrix is important to do so. And I'm happy to see that it actually is moving to the cloud, because of as Ole also was saying, there is a lot of complexity around these things, having to deploy things for a vast amount of customers, a large number of customers that has varying needs, is greatly simplified by the introduction of this coming to the cloud. You know, you can tackle huge for us, like huge rollouts of like new services that triggers everyone to come back into the platform by the scalability, and the cloud platform is really a good thing that simplifies, and where we don't actually need to have like hundreds of servers being on our data center ready to tackle this, but could rather use the cloud scaling to do that. So it's good.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's move now on the partnerships you made with Verimatrix, or the renewal of these partnerships, because both of your company partnered or renewed this partner at spring of this year. So same question for you, Jarl and Ole. What are the key elements of these partnerships, and what do you expect from it?
So yeah, for us, we partnered with Verimatrix directly for not such a long time ago. We've had Verimatrix with us through a service provided by Huawei, but for obvious reasons, with regards to big politics and Donald Trump and so, that was not available to us anymore through them. So we partnered directly then with Verimatrix, both for the CAS solution for our Android-based set-top boxes, and also to bring to our company a standalone multi-DRM solution for handling all the multi-DRM or multi-screen type of DRMs like PlayReady, FairPlay, and Widevine onto our native client that we have been using for a long time now. The partnership has been proving to be very successful, as Geir also pointed out. We're happy to meet a very professional provider of these mechanisms that, for us, it seems to be obvious that you have done this a number of times now, and that there's of course always challenges in this type of things, and we expect the provider of these things to be able to tackle that based on their insight into the industry, and that's been very successful together with Verimatrix, and up against an already deployed platform. There's been quite a few challenges. One of my worst nightmares, being responsible for a TV platform for many years, has been if you have to swap out your CAS system. That's not something that you take on lightly. So when we did that together with Verimatrix, okay, it was from Verimatrix to Verimatrix, but it's two different implementations and through two different partners. To be able to do so successfully without any customer impact I think that's a very good thing.
Okay, for WOW, yeah, we have had a long relationship with Verimatrix on the content security, and we decided to go for the cloud-based solution when we had to do a major upgrade. I think it's 1.5 years ago, and at that time the cloud solution was available. You can't say that we have a cloud-first strategy, but we always try to simplify our production environment, and getting rid of a high number of servers in our data centers was an important part of our decision. But also the fact that as we have already touched a couple of times, the development is going very fast, and it'll go faster in the future. So the need for changes also on the security platform is increasing. And we saw from the past that it was now and then a challenge for us that introducing a new service was had to do that. We had to upgrade the security platform first, and then we could introduce the new service. So it was also important that we could introduce services faster by doing this. So that was the two main factors. At the same time, we saw the need, or has for some time realized that we needed some more data about the multi-screen customers and their experience. And sometimes when we had challenges, when the device manufacturers introduced new operating systems or whatever, then we were more or less blind to what happened at the customers. Only a few years ago, we called these devices for second screen, meaning that the set-top box and the big screen in the home was the main screen or the first screen. But in very short time, the second screen or the multi-screen changed from being second to the most important one. And right now we see a very increasing usage of multi-screens. So also to have the scalability was important for us.
Okay, thank you very much. Now that we have talked about content security and multicast, let's move on the strategies regarding data analysis. From your perspective, Geir, how have you seen the need for analytic solutions for video service providers in Europe evolving, and how did you make your offer evolve to follow that trend?
It is evolving, and I'm kind of surprised every now and then to see how many TV providers who doesn't have really a detailed knowledge about what their customers are doing, and the number of subscribers and all these kind of things. So we in Verimatrix realized this a few years ago and started to look into the analytics and has deployed a solution. Or developed a solution that we have deployed in a few places now, and Ole at WOW is one of the ones who have taken the risk to deploy this one. I think I want to say a few things about cloud in general first on Verimatrix, because it's still early days for us when it comes to providing security as a service, and I'm really happy and grateful to Ole and Jarle, who is one of the early adapters in this from our side, and took the risk to go with that solution. So I'm very happy to hear that they are that is working quite well for them, because I think it's still we have a lot to learn also in Verimatrix when it comes to this, and I think we just seen the beginning of this. And typically analytics is one of the add-on services that we can deploy when we have a true cloud solution very easily. And one of the things with the cloud is that we can offer this like maybe just a 3 years trial to check it out if it is something that works or is needed or is useful. So these are kind of things that we are looking into, and we will address all our customers. When it comes to how we can offer analytics from Verimatrix, we are happy or lucky maybe, because we have presence in almost all the devices out there, so we can collect information from the devices, pretty detailed information, and we are also in the head-end, so we can also are able to collect quality of service information. So analytics can be used in many dimensions or we can offer analytics for many dimensions, from quality of service to churn reduction or whatever. And as I said, we have, I think the strength with what we are offering is that we have so many collection points, so we can give a sort of a complete picture of what is happening on the platform, both when it comes to quality and service and also customer behavior. So it's a little bit, you pick what you need. But I think for future, we see this as something that most customers or most operators will be more focused on. And we are currently having also discussion directly with the studios, who are also getting more and more interested in collecting more information about what happens with the content at the end user. So it's an interesting area, which also are early days, I will say, because there's a lot of potential for how to utilize information about the network and how the content is consumed.
Okay, thank you very much. For Ole and Jar now, what tool do you use to track data? How do you collect it? And how does it impact, after all, your content strategy, your UX strategy, and your distribution strategy?
For WoW, it's we started using the system just before summer, and I have to say that there's a lot of useful information in it, and we are learning every day because it'll take some time before we learn everything about this system and the opportunities that it brings. We from the beginning we have used it for in support cases for individual customers, and have also started using it for KPIs to measure the overall quality of our services. And we have just started integrating the system into our data warehouse, so we can use it together with other data sources to be sure that we have the right picture of everything, so to say. And we have a lot of expectations for how we can get out of these data together with other data. And it's user behavior is a very important part, and it's our market division are every day asking about more information about user behavior that they can use in their content strategy, because it's very important for them to know what the customers are looking at, and for how long time, etc. So that would be very valuable information. But again, it's a new system, it's new information in our organization. So we are learning, but people are very eager to get information about this, because it affects a high number of customers, and it's a very dynamic area. Customers watching, for instance, football games everywhere, and if it's an important football game, we also have a high load on our environment. We see very high peaks in such situations, and just to know what's the user experience, the quality of service is very, very important for our product development, also new services, new offerings in the future.
Yeah, for the Altibox side, we do not use this service from Verimatrix at all, but we have always been very heavily focusing on having insight into the experience of our customers. For like many years, I think it's more than 10 years now, we've been having a solution from Agama, which is again cloud-like service, aggregating all experience data on our set-top boxes to understand everything about how every set-top box is behaving in real use, and tracking hundreds of KPIs on the box, and aggregating this up, really representing the whole network infrastructure that we have and how customers is distributed out in the network. It shows up things like automatic alarms against different nodes, areas in the network. So when we have outages, we can very quickly recognize where the problem sits, because this has all been provisioned into the platform. So it's coming back as alarms to our operating center that looks into things. And funnily enough, this is primarily used not to check the quality of TV, basically, because that's rather static, but it's to monitor the quality of a network. And that's where you have all of the dynamics around things that cable fibers that's being broken by people digging in the ground and things like that. So that's always been key, and I support Ole in that. It's a lot of data that you can also dive into even further. Next to that, we in all our applications and such, we also use analytics to for instance, detect crashes in applications, things that goes wrong when you are deploying new stuff. To again look for errors and immediately respond to, like if there is a single server that throws a lot of errors towards clients, we see it both on the client and also, of course, on the head end side. All the alarms being aggregated by all our systems that we have is integrated and delivered to another platform that is used by Operation Center called Azure One, that will then also provide a lot of tools to both give KPIs to look for nodes that is soon going to be overloaded, for instance, over time, looking at areas where it's likely that customer might end up churning because of issues that we see that maybe a node that's struggling with a high CPU load is throwing issues against set-top boxes or OTT devices connected to that device and such. So these things we keep on working on all the time to improve and optimize and try to provide a good service to customers. So yeah, that's what we do.
So just want to add a little bit about analytics and security here, because we are also including analytics into our security when we, for example, protect an app, which is something we are doing these days. We also include security there, or analytics there, so we will be able to detect if the app is attacked in any way. And by that, we can, of course, then report to the owners of the app that this is something under fire. But we can also make an overview of what kind of applications are the most tempting to attack and help people to secure them in a better way. So analytics can be used in many ways, also in security, providing security in the best possible way and the most targeted way.
I think one of the challenges we have with analytics today is that absolutely everyone we talk to on the vendor space is doing analytics. They all can do this. So trying to choose a good strategy and being able to actually navigate in this domain and who to trust on doing the analytics is at least how I see it, a key challenge.
Yeah, I have a couple of ideas I can share with you after,
I think I can say that our experience is that a lot of suppliers in the business are good at collecting data, but to get something meaningful out of them is sometimes lacking a little bit. And that's maybe the most important part of it, to get something meaningful out of a huge bucket of data.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if you can hear me because I had some issues with my sound. I think it's set now. Perfect. So I had a question regarding content strategy. So we saw at the beginning that there was a strong surge of OTT subscriptions and offers in both your countries. So I have a question for Jarl and Ole as pay TV operators. From your perspective, how has evolved the OTT market in Denmark and Norway? And do you see those OTT services as a direct threat for traditional pay TV operators?
Yeah, I think when you look at the market and the growth of OTT actors, there's a clear strategy between what is primarily being our suppliers, the content owners, the content providers like TV channels and so all of them trying to go into direct competition against us, providing their own direct to customer relationship. So that is an area that we see quite clearly, and it's actually also impacting our ability to gain access to content and to do this according to the same rules, basically, because a content provider that, like we've seen the Norwegian market at least has been developing, is that all the TV channels, they are seeing a very large sort of reduction in their income on advertisement. And they try to compensate for that by charging us more money for the content. And then they use that money to actually build up a service that is directly in competition with us, with a next to nothing cost on doing the content side. And then they impose a lot of restrictions on what content we can actually do and what we can use it for. So that's, of course, is a challenge in that, and that makes it more cumbersome for us to compete. Of course, also we have the big ones like Netflix and Amazon and HBO and such. And I think in that area, yes, it's not really competition in like they're replacing us in that space. I think we have a partnering strategy with these. We have deals with Amazon, we have deals with HBO. We'll probably have Netflix as well further down the road, and it's about this ability to do a good service for your subscribers, basically, and make it viable for them to subscribe to services from companies like Altibox. So what we look at if you look at our churn numbers and such, we don't actually see a huge attack against the customer base. We are the one in Norway that has the largest growth year by year, and we have the most satisfied customers. And we also, on TV, for instance, have a very high penetration on TV, the TV product. So even if the customer can choose, of course, whether they want TV or not from Altibox, but we still have a penetration of 75% of our broadband customers also take our TV service. So that's but of course it's a threat as the OTT services are coming, and it also makes it a little bit complicated for the consumer, which is both an opportunity and also a challenge.
I think for WOW, I can say maybe one word, and that's convenience. I don't know how many apps you have on your smartphones. I have too many, and every time I tell my customer, my wife, that if you want to see this and this content, you have to go to this and this apps, and then she asks every time, can't you make it simple? Why do I have to go in and out of apps and search and things like that? So I think convenience is a very important part. And these years, the streaming or the OTT service landscape becomes more and more fragmented, meaning that you need a lot of different OTT services, a lot of different subscriptions with the OTT service providers, and you need to go in and out of these different apps all the time. We believe that there's a quite significant part of the market that wants simplicity and convenience when they want to watch content. They don't want a lot of tools and devices that they have to use before they are coming to the actual content. And that's our philosophy and the part of our strategy, that we'll try to make it simpler for the customer. And right now, I think we are getting help from the OTT services, because because as I mentioned, it's becoming more and more fragmented with more and more apps all the time.
Okay, thank you very much. So I have a last question for you, Geir, and then we could move on the question from the audience. So from your perspective as a supplier, what do you think will be the most important challenges when it comes to cloud and OTT solutions for pay TV operators?
I think to be able to cooperate and to find the models where the pay TV operators are able to simplify the experience are as Ole is mentioning, the convenience part is what we are working on, and we have several initiatives where we actually are working with the studios and the operators and trying to find a way where this can be done in an easy way. Of course, what we see as challenges in the cloud is the elasticity or the dynamics of the platform, because on cloud, and we have just experienced that somebody just launched an OTT service with Champions League, and then the numbers exploded. And then the platform has to be ready to scale maybe 10 times what it was the day before. And there, this is to have this kind of dynamics in both the solution that we have, which is kind of given because it's a cloud, but also in the business model that will make that sufficiently elastic to be interesting for everybody to work with it. This is challenges that we see and that we are working on. Because in an OTT world, I mean, in an IPTV world, like we have been coming from, the number of customers is pretty much stable. It's a little bit up and down, but we know what we have to do. In the OTT world, it's up and down based on the services that are offered, specifically on sports. So this is some of that. And of course, from our perspective, the most important thing that we are doing is that to be able to secure all content for all devices in a sufficient way, so the content provider feel confident that they can enable their content for all devices. And we have seen a lot of additional requests or asks for security now in this last period of time, where premium movies should be offered to all devices, and new tools as watermarking and app protection are been looked into by the content providers to be mandatory security tools. And by having cloud solution and the possibility to enable these tools for existing customer without making major changes to the platforms are important stuff for us.
Okay, thank you very much. So we had a question from Gemma Edwin, who was targeted to Ole and WOW. So you mentioned at the beginning of this presentation that you were moving into content aggregation in Denmark. And Gemma was interested in understanding what is the method you are using to aggregate the content and how you are planning to use this content. And I would add to this question in general to both you, Ole and Jarl, what is your agenda when it comes to IPTV and OTT in the next years?
Yeah, to answer the question, our business is to deliver content to our owners and our partners, and we are constantly looking at what they want, or try to foresee what they want in the future. And try to make it available as easy as possible for the customer. So you can say that to illustrate it a little bit. Right now we get several hundred TV channels coming to our data centers, and then we try to make it available in a way that it's very easy for the customer to access it, and without having to push a lot of buttons, to use a lot of searching facilities, devices, whatever, but to go directly to what the customer wants to see. So that's the basic philosophy in our aggregation strategy. In the future, there could be other types of not TV, but other types of services that could be a part of this as well. So it's about listening to our customers and try to make their life easier.
Yeah. So for the Altibox side, I think adapting is similar to what Ole says, and adapting the platforms that we have to take this super aggregator role as is the opportunity for all of us having a lot of customers on entertainment platforms like the TV platform. Making sure that we are able to make good offerings, adapt the UIs, and adapt the applications that we provide, so that customers will rather spend time in our service rather than go to all these dedicated applications that's out there. So this goes, of course, along many dimensions of our business, both on the technology side and also on the business side, being able to acquire content to go together with such a model. Furthermore, on the technology side, we see that coming from what I called the IPTV legacy a few minutes ago, we see that IPTV as sort of technology is more or less going away, and it's becoming more and more OTT. And by that, it means it's becoming on demand always, all the time. And being able to provide a service as good of quality as on broadcast live TV, also on OTT, is going to be key for our focus moving forward. And for once is that in a short time frame, or I'm not sure how short it will be, but we're aiming for actually getting rid of multicast altogether. And we actually done that in the Danish market already, which Ole mentioned. We are active in OpenNet in Denmark, and is providing an OTT only service there for some commercial reasons rather, but it's like a trial then. And one of the things we do see also with our service in Norway is that people are primarily consuming TV also in broadcast. They do that on demand by using instant start over and time shift provided by our cloud service. They always start things when they come in to watch a live TV, except if there is something very busy going on a sports channel, or sort of the last minutes of a ski competition or something. So we see it all becoming OTT. And we need to adapt for that, and that also is in the line of simplification. So that's a little bit about what we're going to do.
Okay, thank you. I think we have time for one last question. So I'm gonna pick the one that was directed to Geir. So how can Verimatrix help video service providers anticipate and meet the future content security requirements?
Work with us. No, I think here this is where the cloud strategy is coming into play, because what I briefly mentioned is that on the cloud solution we can be very agile and quick responding to new security requirements, and I personally expect that security will be more and more software based for the years to come, and that we can provide this as services to the different platforms. And when new requirements are coming up, I mentioned that app security and watermarking are things that might be required from the studios or the content providers very soon. We can enable that from our cloud platform pretty much on the existing video consumption platforms. So in the way that we can be more agile, we can be quicker responding, and we can make changes centrally. We'll make it easier for the service providers also to adapt to new requirements, and we can be faster in meeting threats to the business that we will be seeing. So I think that's an interesting and important part of the cloud strategy, and we are looking into building a platform where we can offer all kind of security services and be a security partner on a very broad basis to our customers. So hopefully we just seen the start of developing our cloud business, and I hope we can be able to offer you folks a lot more in the future.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to thank the three of you for this hour spent together. That was very insightful. Unfortunately, we won't have enough time to answer the last questions, but I remind you that you will be able to find this presentation on our website ASAP. Have a nice afternoon and see you soon for a new Dataxis panel. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.